It is time for a repot and chat. I have several plants here today that need a little bit of an update, and I figured while I do them, I can answer some questions that you have asked me over on Instagram. I put out a story like last week, I think, and you'll ask me some really great questions, and I'm going to answer as many as I can during this time. I am really sorry if I don't get to your question. I get a lot, and I can't answer all of them, but I've tried to collate the majority of ones that were asked multiple times at the very least, and some fun ones that I just really enjoyed. So that is what is happening today. Before I get into it though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Also, if you are new here, you might have noticed that I added Cosmo, the little cutie Cosmo, to my intro graphic thing. It was time. The lovely Genevieve of Genevieve Design Studio did illustrations for me years and years and years ago when I was updating this, and I reached out to her when I was like, we got Cosmo, a new kitty, can I add him? Can I add a little graphic of him? Could you draw me one? And she very, very, very kindly drew me this adorable little picture of Cosmo to add to this intro screen. Very excited about it. If you're interested in drawing at all, she has so many drawing tutorials and stuff like that. Makes really gorgeous digital art, and I just really wanted to say a big thank you to her before we get into this, because big deal. I really appreciate it. So without further ado, let us get into some repotting. I'll show you the plants as we go, but the first one I want to do, and I think the only one in semi-hydro, so therefore the cleanest of the group, is my Ficus elastica taniki. Look at this. One, I have been so impressed with this one. It has done so well for me, and has really properly started growing fast since putting it into semi-hydro. And I know it's not in the biggest container. This is one of my smallest self-watering pots, and it's time. In fact, probably some of those roots are gonna have to will just come off when I try and pull it out of this pot. But I've been having to water this one so frequently because it's just constantly drying out, because it's too big for its situation. So I was thinking I could put it into this cute no drainage container, and I could have a cute little tree in this. I had this for a terrarium at some point, but obviously that didn't work out. So we can pop this in here. Sound good? Let's go. First question is, do you think burnout is confused with boredom? If you try something new, do you does the spark come back? And I think that is a really, really valid question, because I think it could be confused by a lot of people. Currently, in my current situation, no, I don't think my current burnout is actually just boredom. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this out, because it's not that I'm bored with my plants. And yes, after doing this for years and years, there are things that not get boring about it, but get kind of repetitive. You're doing sort of the same things over and over, which is absolutely fine. And I don't mind that, really. I enjoy the process of most of those things. Things like dusting, yeah, that's boring. I don't want to do that. But a lot of things like repotting and trying new plants and stuff like that is really exciting. And so yes, trying new things and finding out new things and doing new, whoa, don't fall. Maybe I'll move that there. Doing that does definitely excite me more and bring passion back. And there have been times when I've not felt tired of the hobby, but it can get a bit samey for a while. And so when I learn about new things like my pings and stuff like that, that new process of learning and researching has been a really great experience. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna be able to get this out. I'm pulling. These roots are probably gonna end up coming off, unfortunately. That sucks a bit, but it might just have to be what it is. a little root pruning never hurt anybody. But, so I think, basically, in this case right now, no, my current, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily in burnout, I'm just like a little bit overwhelmed with my collection. But that has gotten less since I have been, sorry, I can't do these things at the same time because I'm like trying not to break things. But my burnout has, like, I'm getting through it a little bit more, and I think a big chunk of that is due to downsizing because I've been so on top of that, and I know I've talked about this so much lately, but like I cannot emphasize enough. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's grown through. Oh my god. The root has grown through the microfiber cloth. That is kind of, should I cut around it? Yeah, because that's a nice root. Let me see if I can cut it out of there without harming it too much. I think I need like nail scissors or something to really get in there. What was I saying? I cannot emphasize enough how much downsizing has helped. And I feel like the things that I have been downsizing for the most part are things that are kind of just filler plants in my collection. Ones that I have because they're like easy care, low maintenance. And yes, why wouldn't I want to keep them if they're like such low maintenance? Like, part of it is just the sheer volume. I feel like having 200 plus houseplants in our tiny London flat is not really reasonable, especially when they are growing. And like I've shown recently, my houseplants have been growing so incredibly well that like I need to make some sacrifices, and the sacrifices are the ones that I don't love as much, and those tend to be the bit more like a bit more gap fillery plants, the ones that don't really, I don't know, they're just like they're there because I can have them as opposed to because I really love them, and so getting rid of those is a good way to like not have as much and not have to stress about things as much. Oh my god, this is like really like up in there. This root really did a number on itself. There we go. Look at those. But yeah, just getting rid of some has been really beneficial for me, at least, and has allowed me to like focus my energy on those that have that are like giving me more, whether it's more growth, more beautiful foliage, things that I like more, and the ones that I'm getting rid of, they tend to be ones that I can get back easily. If I really regret getting rid of it, I can get new ones. Like, it's things like Dracaenas and stuff, which I could get no problem. I don't need to like stress about, oh no, like what if I can never find it again? Those things. Okay, well I have gotten rid of some that are a bit more rare and unconventional, like the Monstera EC7. I just gave that to one of my patrons, or sold it to one of my patrons. And it's like I totally get that probably not replaceable. But I just wasn't loving it as much, and maybe I will regret it one day. Maybe I'm gonna like think about it at some point and be like, oh, I really wish I kept that or held on to it. But for the last several months, it's just been causing me not stress, but I'm just like, I don't need it. I didn't need to have it in my home, and so I'd rather just not, if that makes sense. Do I want to put, yeah, I do. I was gonna say, do I want to put an indicator? I completely forgot. Indicator. Best frickin' thing. with no drainage, in my opinion. I really like having that as an addition to my no drainage pots, because I don't have to like look and try and find the like watering line, which is way harder for me than it should be. I think somebody else asked if I regret any of the plants that I have given up, like because I've been downsizing so much. And like I was saying, I don't think so. I have been like I said, most of them are ones that I could probably quite easily replace, and so I don't really need to worry about it. No, I don't really. And like that very well could change down the line. But if that's the case, then I can just get more. I can get it back again and like try and find a new one. Like that's part of the fun and like the joy of like tastes growing and changing and stuff. And it's really interesting. I definitely noticed myself going through huge phases of the past few years where I'll become like absolutely obsessed with like one genus or plant or like a certain type of things, like jungle cacti or cacti and succulents in general, or syngoniums was one of my absolute faves for a while. And when that happens, I want to collect every single one of those plants. And I think while that's fun, it's not necessarily reasonable, but it's like I want to try all of them and see which ones I like, and that whole process of trial and error is, I think, quite important within like growing houseplants and like the houseplant collection, because how am I supposed to know that it doesn't work for me or I don't love it if I don't give it a go? You know, like obviously there's some that you can say, okay, well, I don't really like super red plants. Buying myself a croton, probably not the best idea. Fair. I agree. So like don't get things that are like out of your tastes, but like try things. I think that's been so useful for me over this time, trying things. And even if I do decide down the line that they're not for me, like I have gotten rid of a lot of my jungle cacti. There's some that I have that I really, really love. I think I only have four now. So I got my two Thanksgiving cacti, the variegated and the white flowering one, and then my fern leaf and the fishbone cactus, and that's it. And for me, that's what I need. I've tried all of the Ripsalis, and not all of them, but a good chunk of Ripsalis and other epiphyllums and the like Queen of the Night sort of ones. I've given those all a go, and I've enjoyed them for a time, and I maybe really liked them because that's what I was getting into. But long term, I decided that it wasn't for me and I don't need it. But if I do decide down the line that I want it again, I can get most of them. Like, for the most part, things are getting so much easier to find. Like, plants are so much easier to find than they used to, especially like rare and uncommon ones. It used to be like, if anything was even slightly rare, there like wasn't a shop for it, you know? Whereas nowadays, I feel like you can get nearly anything online, which is awesome. But it has meant that like I have fewer wishlist plants for sure. I think somebody else also asked, how do I stick to my wish list? Like with online ordering being so prevalent and easy, like because there's no more like hunt for wishlist plants like there kind of used to be. And like there still is a hunt. Like you can't find absolutely everything, but there is also so many more plants available to the general public than there used to be. I don't know, it's really, really difficult because of course I have a wish list, but it's not huge. I am taking my time and I'm really being super picky about what I put on it. And yes, that is because I've been doing this for years and years and years, and it's a lot easier to say I don't want all of these like fun, crazy, like expensive anthuriums that might be on some people's wish lists, when I know that those aren't plants that I generally get along with very well. And so of course it's not going to be as difficult for me to like keep them off of a wish list. Does that make sense? And like you still have to hunt for a lot of things, like the variegated Thanksgiving cactus and stuff. There's still an element of hunt to those like really sort of not exclusive, but elusive, that's the word, elusive plants that like you don't see everywhere, that you're probably gonna have to get from someone's private collection. Or like variegated cast iron plant. Those aren't just like about. And so there is still a lot of hunt, but it's not as intense as it used to be, if that makes sense. It did used to be so much harder to try and find rare plants, but now with like shops like Grow Tropicals and I know Kaylee Allen's shop's closed, but like that was a huge one where you could get so many rare plants from there. Like they're just so much easier, and even like less like rare plant or uncommon plant focused ones, you can get so much from them. I don't know. I think of course things are growing and changing, and I don't know. I think I also have like quite a bit of willpower. I think I am very, very strong-willed, and once I kind of set my mind to something, I tend to try and stick to it as best as I can. And like, it's the same with food, it's the same with exercising for me. Once I like get my mind in something, I will like hold myself to the highest degree of like scrutiny. And so if I'm saying I'm not buying plants, I'm probably not adding things to my wish list either, because putting things on my wish list will make me more likely to want to pick those plants up and get them. And so if I don't know, I just avoid putting things on my wish list. I know that probably doesn't answer your question as well as you wanted me to, but you know, that's how I feel about it. That's how I think about it. But yeah. Oh my god, I think this looks so cute. So it kind of, like the shape of this glass thing, it kind of, oh, it's very wet. The shape of this glass thing kind of reminds me of, like, you know when you get a tree for outside and it comes in like a sack, like a burlap sack or a soil sack. I should stop saying sack. But it comes in one of those. It kind of looks like that, and because this is like a kind of tree type growth, it kind of just I really like it. And I've got the indicator in here. I did put water in, but I could probably put a little bit more. Yeah, that's probably better. So, ding. Very happy with that. And I can put it to the side. First plant, check. Done. Done and dusted. No more semi-hydro to deal with, I believe. This next one is my Asacanthus Bolero bicolor, and I have been bad at watering this one recently. You can see I've got so many like sort of dry stalks in here. It is just not, I have not been growing it well lately. And so with this one, I think I'm actually going to chop and prop into soil props, because that's how I propped this one originally. But I'm gonna do some soil props on it and just start over with it, essentially a big reset. So, just gonna give these a nice, like, only the ones that are looking good, because like this one, like that one's not looking too hot. I should probably just bin that one. And also some of them have gotten quite long, so I don't need to have this be one long piece. I could kind of separate it into two, I think. Ooh, life-changing hacks or DIYs. I feel like I don't have very many hacks necessarily, but one of my biggest things that I think has really changed the game for me in houseplant growing has been semi-hydro, especially for those thirsty plants that just like you don't feel like you can never water enough. Semi-hydro solves all of those problems, because especially if you're doing it with a water reservoir at the bottom, which you should if you've got it in semi-hydro, then it will always have access to that water. And all of my like really thirsty plants like alocasias and stuff, I've used it for marantas, syngoniums, I've used it for so many plants. Even things that are more slow growing, don't need tons of water, I have used it for them, and it has been so good because I can just worry about filling out. You don't have to worry about overwatering. Basically, it's a hack to not have to deal with that. Yeah, so like you could see, look, all of those. I don't need those because as long as you keep the reservoirs, at least some water in the reservoirs, you're golden. You don't need to worry about like giving it too much or watering too frequently, because there's always water available to it, and so it prefers that. So that's probably my biggest hack. I don't know if that counts as a hack these days because I feel like everybody knows about it, but genuinely the best thing I've done for my plant collection and my like sanity as someone who is a laid back, chill, not lazy but lazy plant parent, is semi-hydro. It has been a game changer, a lifesaver for a lot of my plants as well, I am sure. Like a lot of my alocasias, I don't think I'd be able to do them as well if I didn't do them in semi-hydro. Someone's also asked, how are Cleo and Cosmo doing? Are they getting along? They're doing really well. I will say they're doing really well. Like Cosmo's very settled in. He's much more confident and it's good. And they're not yet getting along fully. If you didn't know, I got a new kitten 8 weeks ago. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. 8 weeks ago, we got a new kitten, and his name is Cosmo, and he's lovely. And we are still trying to get them to get along slowly. So we're still at a point where they can't be unsupervised together, because Cosmo usually is the aggressor and is just a bit of a bully, and like he wants to play, which is totally reasonable for a tiny kitten. But Cleo, as an adult cat, less inclined to do the playing, and doesn't want to be like jumped on constantly. Again, fair. So like we basically can't have them unsupervised together most of the time. If they're in the right moods, like if Cleo is sleeping on the chair and Cosmo can sometimes be around her then, and like he won't go up to her immediately, like he can just explore the living room or whatever. But it's a bit of slow going with that, and so they're never together unsupervised. And that has also meant that Joe and I are still sleeping separately. So we've been sleeping separately for 8 weeks, purely because we don't want Cleo to feel left out in this whole situation. So Cosmo's space, his like solo space, is the bedroom. Ooh, I should probably do these in a clear one. His solo space is the bedroom. The door is closed most of the time. The door is closed right now. I don't need to worry about anything in there. I've like cat-proofed that space, and it's all good. Cleo then gets the rest of the flat most of the time. Sometimes, if she's just sleeping, we'll let Cosmo in here and like supervise time in here, because obviously I've got frick tons of plants and I don't want them to be chomped. We can talk about that, or I will talk about that in a future video. I'm going to do like a cat-proofing my plant collection sort of thing at some point. But, oh, P.S. I'm just using anthurium and orchid soil. I found that works really well for these guys. And I'm just going to fill it up to the top. You saw me previously taking off all of the bottom leaves on the cuttings, because I don't want any of those bottom leaves to be going into the soil, because it's just going to increase chance of rot. Oh, I was also going to plant some catgrass seeds, because I think that could be useful. This is going to look really silly with them all like this, kind of standing up straight instead of hanging down. It'll be fine. But basically, we're taking things super duper slowly with them, and like taking our time on it, because we really don't want to get to a point where they don't get along at all ever, because that would suck. Basically, they need to be able to get along at some point, and so we're going very, 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 very slowly, which I think is a good thing. I'd rather be safe than sorry with it. and sometimes it can be extremely frustrating. Oh yeah, I was also saying that we were sleeping separately in order to make sure that no one feels left out in it. And so we have a really comfortable couch bed, and every night Joe and I switch beds to switch who's sleeping with Cleo and who's sleeping with Cosmo, because basically if we block Cleo out from our bedroom and we both slept in there, Cleo would feel left out and probably cry and scratch at the door, and she can actually open the door if she really wants to, which we would like to encourage her not to do. So one of us needs to be out there with Cleo, but if both of us are out with Cleo, then Cosmo will scream in the middle of the night. And I know it's just what kittens do. Like, I don't want to leave him like unattended too long, because he's a baby, and like you wouldn't leave a toddler unattended for too long. So I mean, I know it's not the same thing. I know that, but it is on some level. So we are doing our best to make sure that no one feels left out and uncared for. I know someone else asked if we think Cleo might feel like she's getting the short straw here, which, I mean, she might do. She's probably, like, she's used to having the whole place to herself, and so it is a big change to have another new little being in the house. Absolutely. But I think long run, she will get used to it. Well, I know for the long run she'll get used to it, and she will appreciate it in the end, because then she'll have a friend. She'll have someone to, like, hang out with and not be alone. Not that she's alone, but you know what I mean. So yeah, they're doing really, really well, and I can only imagine that things will get better from here. It's just going to take its time. It's just very slow going. It's very slow going. But there we go. Not the cutest thing in the world, but it should do, and I will be making sure to keep this very, 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 very moist going forward. I wonder, do I have a good pot for this? Would that work? Oh, yeah, that'll do. It's not perfect, but it'll do. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this very moist while it is propagating for a little while, but it should be perfectly fine, just like this. Love it. I am gonna go get those catgrass seeds really quick, because I've been meaning to plant those up for a minute now and I haven't. So let me go grab those and we can plant those up too. Sorry, my camera also decided it wanted to overheat, so if the angles change slightly, that's why. But I got 2 different types of catgrass just off Amazon. I can link them down below if you're interested. I link everything that I use in these sort of videos down below if you want it. I think one of these is wheat seeds and one of them is oat seeds. I don't know which one's which. We're just gonna go for it. I've got 2 pots here, and I'm just gonna use monstera and philodendron soil. I don't know if that is the right stuff, but I think it should probably be fine. As long as I make sure to water them enough, I don't think it'll be an issue. I probably could just use generic houseplant soil and it'll be fine. But I do have a quick question for y'all. If you ever tried catgrass before, have you found that it has helped your cats not eat your plants? Because Cosmo, being the curious boy he is, does like to try and go for houseplants. But I've always, like, the reason I've not tried it before is because I've always been worried that it'll be like a gateway plant. That if I say, you can eat this one, how do they tell the difference between that and ones they can't eat? Like, why is it not now just like open season, they can eat whatever they want? Have you found that your cats will only go for the catgrass, or will only go for your houseplants, or have started going for your houseplants now that you've got catgrass, kind of thing? I'd be really, really curious to know, because it makes me a little bit nervous. So, sow seeds thinly in trays of moist compost. I'm literally just gonna pop these seeds on top. I think these are the wheat grass seeds because these look more like wheat in my eyes. That looks like wheat, maybe. Do I put more compost over the top of it? I don't know. I'm going to. I've never actually grown something from seeds besides anthuriums in a houseplant capacity. So I don't know. I don't know how this will go, if it'll go well or not. We will see. But yeah, I'm just a bit worried that if Cosmo now has access to a plant that he is allowed to eat, why wouldn't he want to eat more of my plants? Is that a fair concern? Has anyone else experienced that? Or has it just been like, they'll only go for the cat grass? I want to know. I don't know how many is too many. These ones say to just sprinkle on top and slightly press down to give them good contact with the soil. I mean, the soil's probably a little bit barky for what they would want, but here we are, baby. It should be fine. And if it's not, then whatever, I only lose the tiny amount of money I spent on seeds. So that should be fine. I will pot these up and give them water. It makes me really nervous because, like, what's to stop them from going for all the other plants if they realize that plants are okay to eat now? I don't know. We'll see. Loads of people online have recommended it, and so I'm like, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna try. Those can go there for now. And the next one I'm gonna do is my Anthurium Crystal Mag. Look at that. It's a little bit of a wonky looking plant, and I'm really annoyed I broke off the new leaf which was coming in. Really unfortunate. Like, it was still tiny brand new, and I broke it off, which sucks, but it'll be fine. I think it's just time for a repot in here with this one. So we can repot it. Ooh, now that I have 2 cats and loads of houseplants, am I thinking about moving? I would freaking love to move. I would love to move, but we do own our flat here, and so the process of moving would be quite a big one, because we'd have to sell our flat or figure out how to let it out or something, and then try and maybe buy somewhere else. Also, we're not sure exactly where we would want to move, so wherever we go, we would probably want to rent first, and it just all becomes very complicated and expensive. And also, with Joe's job, I'd need to find something, like, we'd need to be somewhere close enough where he could either commute into London, which I wouldn't want to make him travel like an hour and a half into London every day on a train. That'd be so expensive. So I would not like him to do that. Like, I can work from wherever. As long as I've got my plants, I can do anything. So it's not as big of a deal for me, but I don't want to like force Joe to do anything, really. Oh my god. These are so pretty, these roots. Like, look at those. Those are insane and so nice. And I'm basically just putting it in a pot one size up, the same sort of style, because that has worked well for me and it. It's also got a stake in here, which I don't think it needs, really. So I'm just gonna take this out. So yeah, I would absolutely love to move, and like long term, yes, this is not our forever home, and it's not really enough space for us. And part of why I've been overwhelmed so much lately, I think, is because of the lack of space, and so moving would help solve that issue, because I would like to have more plants, and in a bigger space that is much more possible, because I'll have more room for the ones that for them to grow, basically. Whereas here I don't really have room for them to grow, and the issue is that I they're all growing, yay, but there's no space for them to grow into. And so if we had a bigger place, and like I would love to have my own sort of office space. Like today I'm in Joe's office because he's at work in the office, which is like in the physical office for his work, which is good, but I only have access to this space fully in the evenings and weekends when he's not working in here. And currently this is where the majority of my houseplants are because we've had to take so many out of the bedroom. For Cosmo's sake. So it's all just been like, it's been a massive process, and that has been a huge thing that's been stressing out. So long term, yes, I would love to move. Short term, not moving yet because there's so much logistics that goes into that. And we don't really have the time, space, or money to do so just yet. So maybe down the line, absolutely. But right now, we can't really, without doing a lot of stuff to like make that happen. Oh, someone also asked if I'd ever move back to California. That's also part of why things have changed a little bit, because I would love to move back to California. Absolutely. Like San Diego, where I went to university, it's my happy place. I loved it there. It's like the perfect size city for me. London's too big for me. I am not a big city person, and I didn't know that until I moved here. How was I to know? You're not until you try things. But I've realized that we're just like not taking advantage of it enough. It's too expensive, and like it's just like if we wanted to go out to dinner, the two of us, and like a nice dinner, like a date, we'd have some like wine and like maybe a starter or a dessert. It would end up being like £100 at least for the two of us to have a dinner. Whereas I know there's other parts of the world where it's not nearly as expensive, specifically not in cities. But I would love to move back to California. I'd love to move back to San Diego. The thing is, it's not necessarily the best place in the world at the minute. Not San Diego specifically, but the United States. There's a lot of stuff going on that I personally don't agree with. And I'm not going to get into it too much because this channel is not about politics or anything like that, but I don't necessarily feel safe and comfortable moving back there at the moment. And maybe in 10 years time, because I don't think it'll be done after 4 years, but maybe in 10 years time, 15 years time, things will be in a place that feels safer for me to go there, and I can feel like not restricted and not that like there's loads of hate and stuff around. Maybe then I can move back, because I think that could be, I mean, I would love to. And like if things hadn't gone the way they had, we would have been much more likely to have made a move sooner, because I've wanted to move back to California for a very long time. It's been in like the 5-year plan for the last 5 years, 7 years. Basically as long as Joe and I have been together, it's always been, this is a possibility, like, would you be willing to move back? Yes. Okay, cool. At some point we will. Maybe in the next 5 years. Sounds good. Cool. But now that's kind of been pushed much forward into the future. But I would love to go move back to California. Also, because someone else asked, were you interested in plants back in the US? No, I didn't get into houseplants until I moved to the UK. And so I'd be really curious to see, more than just like going and visiting, what the sort of houseplant market is like out there. And like, I know there are major differences between like what you can find in the UK versus the US, and the sort of like, what's the community like? I'd be so interested to know and find out, because it just wasn't something that I was keen on back then. I did try things like cacti and succulents. I was in California, it's like sunny and whatever, but I had no idea what I was doing. I'm pretty sure I made them melt, or didn't water them enough. Basically, it was just a bad time, and I wasn't really into it, but also because I could go out and be in nature so easily in California. Everywhere I've lived, I've been so close to going on hikes, like in the mountains. I could go for a swim in the ocean. Like, I'm close to nature. It's easily accessible. but that's not really been the case here in the big city. And so that's kind of part of the reason why I got into houseplants, because they were a way for me to access nature in a very close to me way, aka being in my home. So there we go. Looking good in there. Another reason why I'd be like tempted to not move is because I have made so many great friends here, and I absolutely love my plant friends. I actually just got back yesterday from a trip up to Wales for one of my plant friends' birthdays, and like I've never really had like a good core group of friends that's lasted for me, and that is something that I've found here in London that I like extremely value. And so moving to the States, I would be kind of losing that and have to start over again, which is kind of terrifying, because I don't have tons of friends. I have like my best friend from home, but that's one friend. I don't really have any friends from university, like close friends from university that I talk to regularly. I'm sure I could have people I could hit up and be like, hey, I'm in the area, do you want to get dinner? Sure. But not like, hey, come stay at my house for like any amount of time. So it's a shame. Like, and I obviously don't want to go away from the friends that I currently have as well. So I don't know. We will see what happens on that front. But gosh, am I gonna drop this? Please don't drop. The next thing that I want to do, I do have another thing to say about plant friends in a minute, but the next thing that I want to do is I want to join these two plants. So this is my Pothos and Joy, and this is my Pearls and Jade. They're similar enough that they can go in one pot. But and I also don't think I've repotted my Enjoy in a very, very long time. So we can do that and check on the roots and stuff on things, make sure they're okay, join them together, less plants. Also, my camera's gonna overheat again. Oh my goodness. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, cooled down the camera again, but it is time. I genuinely cannot tell you the last time I unpotted this. It's been so long and I'm getting dirt everywhere. That's okay. It's fine. So the other thing that I wanted to say about planty friends, because someone asked, is how do I find planty friends? And the truth of the matter is I met my planty friends / some of my best friends at another plant swap, the first one, back in 2021. We all went to that. So me and Claire had already met. That was through Instagram. We have the same job essentially, and so we're basically like colleagues. And so love that for us. And so we kind of just like hit it off instantly, and we've become like best friends since, which has been amazing. I love that. But the rest of our sort of like planty group, we met at the plant swap, and that's kind of where we first talked, first knew each other. My friend Lottie, she found out about the plant swap because of an Instagram ad that we had posted advertising the swap, and like she wasn't really part of the plant community before that even, and so it was like kind of just by chance that she saw this Instagram ad and like showed up to the swap, and we became so close, which is awesome. I love it. So planty events has been a great way. Also through social media and stuff has been great. I've also, like, I know some of my patrons have become friends since joining my Patreon, because they've like gotten to know each other and their collections through my live chats and through the Discord server and stuff. And so I feel like going to events, and I know it's freaking scary. I know. Every time before a plant swap, I'm always so nervous, which kind of sounds crazy because like I might seem like I'm super outgoing, but I'm an extroverted introvert. I can, like, once I know you, I feel like we can get along like a house on fire, but otherwise I'm just like nervous and awkward, and I don't know how to socialize very well, and so I know it's nerve-wracking. But it's so incredibly worth it in my experience to like push yourself and like go to events like that, because it, like, I know it's out of the comfort zone, but it's how I've met some of my absolute best friends. Also, that's not actually as easy as I wanted it to be. Squish, 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 squish. Get some of the soil out of the middle there. And then that fits better. And I know that might not be the most helpful thing if you don't have like a sort of plant community. And I guess that's one of the benefits of living in a big city, is there's more people around, and so the likelihood of there being people who like the same sort of stuff that you do, in my case plants, is higher. And so I feel like that's kind of lucky, and if I hadn't lived in London, I wouldn't have been able to meet them. But that doesn't mean that those don't exist. I know like you can join Facebook groups and stuff for people who like houseplants as well, and like that's a way to meet people, doing trades and swaps, going to things like RHS Malvern and Gardeners World Live and stuff, where they have houseplant focused events and stuff. That is a really good way to meet people who are into plants. And like, I found that houseplanty people are some of the absolute nicest people that I've ever met, because like we're all just, I say we, I'm hoping that I come across this way as well, but like we just tend to be a very caring, generous, like kind, nurturing bunch. I feel like it kind of comes inherently with, sorry if the chair's squeaking a lot, I feel like it kind of comes inherently with liking plants, because it's something to take care of. And so like we just kind of all have that sort of kind personality, which is good. And so like they just tend to be so freaking nice and lovely. Oh my gosh. So that's how I've met my plant friends, and it's been honestly the best thing ever. And like also I know so many people who have like converted their friends into liking plants, just because it's like when you become so obsessed with something, like your friends can get into it as well. And like I've given friends like cuttings and stuff like that, and like especially if I'm trying to downsize or whatever, giving plants away to my friends that aren't necessarily planty people has helped them get into plants. And then that's kind of another way to get plant friends, or to achieve friends that like plants. So yeah, that's how I've done it. I think I have also been really, really lucky in that it was kind of like I met them all by chance. I genuinely feel so lucky to have met the friends I have, and I don't know if I could have done anything differently to make that happen, you know? Okay, I'm gonna put this back in its pot. Luckily I didn't have to upsize the cash pot on it, but I think I probably will, because it's so long. I think I'm gonna have to chop and prop a little bit of this, because I can't have it hang down too low for Cosmo's sake. So I'm just going to chop and prop. Will I propagate that? Probably not. So just chop, really, but love how full that looks. It's gonna look perfect back where it was before. I'm not gonna put it anywhere different, I don't think. Just above my bed. So fabulous. It's a shame that the next plant swap isn't sooner, like the next London one, because I've been doing so much chopping of stuff that it would have been nice to have it be sooner, but I don't really have space and time and energy to propagate things with them in it. And something I'm learning how to do is just accept that I can't propagate everything. So proud of myself for making that choice, which is good. What else did I have to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to repot my Croniana. I know I did check the roots the other day. Ooh, this is very wet. I watered it and I didn't empty out the pot, but I think I just need to give it like one size bigger. Yeah, that should do. The next question is, what fertilizer am I using? And they also asked about Nurture System because they saw that I'd used it previously. So I'm currently using Formulex. I think it's the same thing as Foliage Focus in the US. It's by Growth Technologies. I think it's an Australian brand originally. Oh my god, yeah. Look at those roots. Absolutely needs an upgrade. Yeah, I think it's an Australian company originally. And I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think it might be something that things like Sydney Plant Guy use. Like I said, I could be wrong on that. But I heard about it through Johnny, the bearded plantaholic, and he swears by it. And it's actually really inexpensive on Amazon, which I like. And it may not be the best fertilizer in the world. It's not like microbiome friendly or anything. And so if you want something that is microbiome friendly, this is not the choice. And nor is Nurture System. The only microbiome friendly fertilizer I know of is liquid gold leaf, which I have used a lot in the past. I just wanted to like experiment and try new things because I feel like it's my duty as someone who creates plant content to like try different things. And so that's why I tried the Nurture System last year, which I did really like. I felt like my plants grew really well with it and seemed really happy. It just is on a bit more on the expensive side, whereas the Formulex stuff isn't as expensive. I could buy like a 5-liter like a refill jug of it for much less than it would cost to buy loads of Nurture System. But that being said, I do have another bottle of Nurture System to get through, so I will use that once I finish. I think I'm done with my big 5-liter of the Formulex stuff, so the next one I will be using will be Nurture System again, which I have liked, and I still have some liquid gold leaf that I need to use up as well, so I'm getting through it slowly. But so far I have liked all of those. I do recommend all 3 of those. Those are the ones that I've used the majority of my plant career and have really liked. So highly recommend. I'm not an affiliate with any of them either. I wish, if anyone wants to give me an affiliate link. I'm here. But yeah, that's the fertilizer I use at the minute. But I also mentioned this in my big plant chores video recently. I have been really bad at fertilizing recently because I've been so overwhelmed, and like the watering I've needed to do is so frequent because it's been such a warm summer that I've just like, instead of like taking the time to put fertilizer in my watering can, I have just been literally picking it up and filling it with water and going, like not taking the time to fertilize properly, which I don't know if that will have an effect on my plants later. It probably will, but I'm also, I don't know if I don't notice things in the same way like that. Does that make sense? I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying attention well enough, but yeah. Anyways, oh, just cracked that pot, whoops. Croniana is repotted. Hopefully we'll like this a little bit better. I think I need to like water it through a little bit. I don't know if it'll fit in the pot it was in. Will it fit? Actually, it fits quite perfectly, and because it's gray, you don't really see, like the nursery pot is gray, you don't really see the edge of it. So that is fine. Put that there. Probably be a little bit more stable now as well because it's got like a heavier pot. So that's good. And then the other one that I wanted to do is my Polyneura, and basically I wanted to check up on the roots on this one because it's had like so many yellowing leaves lately. I just want to make sure that I'm not dealing with rot or anything like that because I've just had to get rid of so many leaves on it, and I haven't noticed it growing as intensely as it was earlier this year, so best to check on things. I don't think it'll need an upsize, but I just want to check. and see what's up. Then someone's asked, ooh, they said, I can have one plant for free. What plant am I getting? Oh, yeah, I know. It's gonna be the Hoya polyneura, funny, the Jasmininka. I saw it on Instagram once, and oh my goodness, the most beautiful thing. It's like an outer variegated, splashy polyneura. Tell me that's not like the coolest sounding thing. I would absolutely love one. So it doesn't look like anything's like rotten in here. Oh, if I can show you. It doesn't look like things are rotting. It does look pretty healthy. So I don't really know why we are unhappy. Maybe I just let it get a little bit too dry and I just need to be a bit more careful going forward. Because it does look healthy, so I'm not worried about it. Right, I'm gonna put it back then. Doesn't actually need a repot, just needed a look. Yeah, I want a Hoya Jasmininka, or even an inner or outer variegated Hoya polyneura. Those have been like absolute wish list plants for me. And that's one of the ones that's like harder to find. Like you can't just find it on any old online site. I don't think, if I'd seen it on like something like Grow Tropicals, I would have one in an instant. I would buy it. Even though I'm downsizing right now and trying not to like add too many plants to my collection, that is one that I give myself full excuse to buy if I ever see it pop up, because I want one so bad. I want both the inner and outer variegated and the Jasmininka. I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, they're just so pretty. I love the polyneura. It's one of my favorite Hoyas for sure. I think it is so cool and pretty. And I just want more. And then my final question for today. Sorry if I didn't get to yours. There's a lot. But the final one I have is, do you see the interest in houseplants dropping in the future? And I'm going to answer this in two parts because I think this is a very interesting topic. Personally, I don't see myself losing interest in houseplants. It's one of my absolute greatest fears that I'll lose interest in houseplants, but I don't think I will, because I have really come to absolutely love this hobby. And of course, things change, people change and stuff like that, but I love this so much, and I love this community, and it has just made me so incredibly happy over these years. It's kind of been like the one thing, aside from Joe and like my cats, that has really like kept me sane during this time. And so that I don't think I'm personally gonna lose interest, but also I was thinking about it more, and like as a society, as like a collective, do you think we will lose interest? Like, will it become less of a popular thing? And we have definitely seen that happen after COVID, when like everybody got into houseplants because we were all stuck at home and didn't have anything to do and couldn't go outside. So a lot of people got into houseplants. And I have noticed that some of those people who got into houseplants then dropped off a little bit and stopped collecting, or like life got in the way and like no longer take care of houseplants, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I got into houseplants before lockdown, and so I feel like the hobby was already like heavily solidified into my brain before that like really weird time, and then it just like exploded. The whole market exploded during lockdown. But I do think there will still be more like loss of interest in it, but I think that's the same with any sort of hobby. Like people go through phases, and sometimes people really, really love things and sometimes people don't. And I think now that we're seeing a lot of people downsizing, I don't think the interest is going away, but I think it's going to be much more refined than the sort of like mass overconsumption and buying of houseplants that was so popular like in the last few years. Does that make sense? I hope so. Before I sign off, I want to say a huge thank you to the newest members of my good growing fam over on Patreon, Hazel and Tina. Thank you so much for joining in. If anyone else is interested in joining my Patreon, the link is down below in the description, and it's only £3 a month. You can think about it as like running one of my grow lights, buying me a cup of coffee each month, just helping me out a little bit on my plant creator journey, helping me grow my collection in all of the ways. And for that you get bonus content and like live chats and access to the Discord server and a chance to meet some other planty people who like very well could be local to you, because I've got patrons from all over the world. So it is there if you want it, but absolutely no pressure to join if that is not your thing. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If I mentioned anything in this that you want to know more on, let me know and I can hopefully make that happen, and subscribe for more. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!